Everyone, and welcome to the video. So today I'd like to walk you through a brand new template which is now available on the PoundSound.uk web store, and this is a Cubase Pro template for use with Spitfire Audio's Albion One. But before we start, I'm just going to play this really short cue that I've botched together in the last 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll talk about the template, how it's set up, and how you can work with it. So let me just hide all the stuff we don't want to look at. So you've just got these, and we'll hit play. Okay, so you get the idea. Again, don't criticize me too much for that. But anyway, let's talk about the template. So this template has been built with the VST3 version of Contact, and you will need to own Albion and have it installed on your computer. If you don't have Albion installed, or you don't have the VST3 version of Contact installed, the template's not going to work when you come to activate the tracks. So make sure you have both of those things. I'm going to go back to the All Tracks view, and now we'll talk about how the template has been set up. I keep using the word template, but actually it's a Cubase project file. And when you open up the project file for the first time, all the folders will be collapsed like so. And you'll have a folder for each section of the Albion One library, so brass, strings, woodwinds, percussion, Stevenson's steam band, and then Brunel loops. Now, when you expand these folders, you'll find the instrument tracks inside, and they'll be pre-disabled to start with. So if you select one and start playing, it's not going to make any noise. The reason behind this is that not everyone has got a good machine or lots of RAM available. And if the template was fully active when you go to load it, it could just cause absolute chaos, cause Cubase to lock up, and you'd run out of memory very quickly. So it's all disabled, so the idea is you go through it, you cherry pick the patches you want to use, and then to start working with them, you right click on something and then go to enable track. If you're on a Mac, I believe it's command click, if I remember correctly, and then you can enable your track, and then you can start playing. So you can start playing and scoring straight away. And something to note with this template in particular, unlike the other templates that I sell on my website, this is the first one where I've actually gone through all of the instrument tracks and adjusted the negative time delay. So that means that when you snap things to the grid and you play it back, it should be in sync and not behind the beat. So this was quite painstaking to do. The only ones I haven't done it for are the loops and the synthy kind of sounds that you can find in the folders down here. But the main orchestral sections have been done, which are probably the things that you're going to be making most use of, right? You'll also notice that everything has been color-coded and tagged. So BRS stands for brass, STR for strings, WWS for woodwinds, and then percussion is PRC. Everything has been organized in a way to make it really simple for you to work with. So I always put legato patches first, and then they're followed by longs and shorts, then effects. And for the orchestral sections, I always put the highest register stuff at the top. So you'll find high brass here, mid brass here, and then low brass here. If it's like a full section, that will go above the highest registers. So a full string section will be above the high strings, and then that'll be followed by the mids and then the lows. You'll also find in the strings folder that the runs that are in the library have been broken down onto individual instrument tracks. And just to show you, I'm going to activate one of these. Again, the delay compensation has been added. And when you open it up, you'll see that I've unloaded all the other articulations from the patch, because we're splitting it down and we don't want to take up any more memory than we need to if you want to work with them. Flipping over to the mixer, I'll show you how the template has been routed. So essentially what we're looking at here is the main view, and there's not an awful lot of tracks. Although there's 811 instrument tracks in the entire project, that would mean you would have 811 audio channels in the mixer. But how I tend to do things with my templates is I try to simplify them to make them really simple to use for everyone, but also retain the ability to process things in a way that gives you maximum control. So you'll notice here for the high brass, even though we have quite a few high brass patches, they've all been summed to their own high brass group. So we can control that particular part of the library with one fader and still have the ability to use inserts if we want to do any additional processing. Now, you may not want to process the whole instrument. You might find that the shorts need some EQing or compression, or the levels adjusting slightly. So what you can do is come up here and you'll find that I've created a bunch of visibility groups. So we could go to the instrument channels view and we can see the individual audio channels that are active in the project. And you can see here, I've already done a little bit of EQ into things roughly. Now, just to note, these plugins here that I'm using, this template isn't a fully pre-mixed template. You can do all that stuff yourself because everybody has their own creative decisions and choices. So you won't find these on here. One thing you will find is that on the master fader, there will be a limiter applied just to protect you from any clipping if you start to get a bit overexcited elbowing your keyboard. Now, going back over to the main groups view, you'll notice that at the right here, we have these purple faders, and these are the master section groups. So, for example, all the brass here are routed to their own master brass fader. Same with the strings, percussion, woodwinds, X, Y, Z. You'll have these master groups here. So if you want to do any final processing before it hits the stereo out, then you can do so. So it's really simple and really straightforward to use. I'm going to flip back over now to the main project window, and just to wrap up this video, we'll play this cue one more time. But before we do, I'm going to give you some tips on how you can work with a template like this. Obviously, you have a lot of tracks, and once you've picked the stuff you want to work with and enabled it, you've got this excess of disabled tracks that are bogging down your main view. So what you can do in Cubase is you can come up to the track visibility agents, and if you select this, you'll find that there are a couple of options. So we can hide the disabled tracks in the project, and we can only view the stuff that is active. So that instantly cleans up your view. And you can also show tracks with events as well. Now, I have done a video where it allows you to switch between 3 different view states, which require you to build your own PLE command because these are not inside the basic functionality of Cubase. It's pretty straightforward to do, but what it will allow you to do is this. So if I want to go back and look at all of the tracks in the project, even the ones that are disabled, I can hit a button and it will show me the stuff that I want to maybe activate. Let's say I want to activate this. And then once I've done this, I can go back to the show only enabled tracks view, and then we can carry on working. And then if we want to just look at stuff with events on, despite the fact we might have other things active in the project that we're not using, then we can use that. And this setup allows me to easily switch between the 3 different view states, so it makes working with a project much easier. So just to end, I will play this dodgy cue one more time, and hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll leave a link in the description box below to the website so you can get your hands on a copy of this split articulation template.